I've been using this cane for about 5 months since I bought it. Sadly, about 3 weeks ago I broke it in the woods. It was cheaply made and mass produced, so it's not a shocker that that happened. I've been meaning to get around building an extra one, and in the meantime I've been using a cheap Walmart cane instead. I'll use this beautiful piece of hardwood as the main body for my cane.
I'll bring the wood over to my chopping block and use my axe to bring down all the rough edges into a more circular shape. This is a lot faster than just using a draw knife or planing the whole thing into a circle. You have to be more and more careful the closer you get to your desired size so as not to take off too much wood. I'm now going to bring the piece of wood over to my table that doubles as a vise so I can plane it. I use this table vise instead of my workbench's vise because it handles the rough planing a little bit better. After adding a bit of a taper and finishing all the axe marks on the wood, I'm going to bring it over to my workbench vise. This way I can take it out and check it easily so I can make sure I'm getting the shape and taper I want. This would have taken a lot longer on the other vise. After a fair amount of planing, I used my card scraper to do some finish work on it. Then I quickly sanded it with some 80 grit sandpaper. It was here that I realized it was a lot thicker than I wanted it to be, so I had to go back to planing again. It doesn't bother me that much though. I find it quite satisfying to get all these curls of wood from the plane. After getting the thickness that I wanted, I went to the card scraper to make sure that there were no bumps or ridges along the entire length of it. Now that it was the size that I liked, I gave it another quick sanding with the 80 grit. The cane needed a little pattern to it, so I decided on these crisscrossing lines. I'll use this V-shaped palm chisel to start the cut. I'll use it to cut a line down the middle of the tape, making sure to get consistent depth and distance on both paths. After filling in the lines with pencil and taking off the tape, this is how it looks. I'll use this round palm chisel to widen out the details. Again, I'll try to stay in line and keep the same depth and width on both paths. It's important whenever you're carving to make sure that the knife can never stab you if you ever overpower your cut and break through the wood. This is how it looks with both channels cut, and I think it turned out pretty nice. I'll sand the whole thing again and make sure to leave no corners that could break off and turn into splinters later down the line in use. I'll be using boiled linseed oil as my finish, so I'll put a little bit on each prospect of wood that I have for the handle and match it against the shaft of the cane to see which one looks better in use. I decided on cherry and drew this quick sketch to cut out on the bandsaw. This is the finished cut after the bandsaw. I tested it on the cane to make sure it was around the right height for me, then brought it over to the vise to start rasping it into the right shape. After getting it fairly close to the shape of the body, I drilled a hole in the handle and in the top of the cane. I'll be shaping the entire thing with this rasp and this file. The first step is to take off wood quickly with the rasp. This leaves a rough finish but works almost as quick as a belt sander. After getting within about 1/8 of an inch of the shaft, I'll switch over to the file. This is to take off all the rough marks from the rasp, but also to make sure I don't overshoot and cut into the cane itself. I'll keep on going until it's as flush as I can make it with a file. After I'm happy, I'll start shaping the handle with a half-round, half-flat file. I'll pause every once in a while to see how it fits my hand and take off any parts that I deem unnecessary. After a really long session of filing, I'll start sanding the entire handle with my coarsest sandpaper at 80 grit, making sure I hit every surface. I'll then move on to 220 grit, hitting every area that I hit with the 80 grit. And finally, I'll sand the entire cane, not just the handle, with my 320 grit, making sure that the entire surface is smooth and good to the touch. After testing to make sure that the cane feels good one more time, I'll move on to using the boiled linseed oil. Boiled linseed oil looks great as a finish, it's cheap, and it lasts forever. This is why it's one of my main go-tos whenever I finish a project. Just look at the grain pop. I decided to put this leather strip on it to decorate the handle. I cut the leather to the width that I wanted, and then scuffed the area I would be gluing with 320 grit. I then ran a line of super glue along the entire length of the leather, and then I held it into place while it set. This is the finished cane. It certainly looks a whole lot better than my old one, and it feels a lot better to walk around with too. Thanks for watching the video. Please comment below any ideas I should do for future projects, and please like and subscribe if you want to see any more of my content. Thank you and have a great day.